The movie begins with Levon Cade waking up in his car before heading to work. He arrives at Garcia's construction site where a co-worker offers him some food. Levon then briefs the team on the day's tasks before heading to the office to meet the Garcias. Inside, Jenny Garcia, Joe Garcia's daughter, hands him a few billing documents. She asks her father for a large sum of money to finish a semester, hoping to celebrate soon. Though initially hesitant, Joe eventually agrees and gives her the money. Meanwhile, Levon notices a group of mobsters arriving at the site and threatening one of the workers. Without hesitation, he intervenes, swiftly taking them down and forcing them to leave. Jenny, having seen the incident, approaches Levon and asks if he has a military background. He brushes it off and warns her not to mention it. Intrigued, she asks him to teach her how to fight, saying her grandfather once showed her how to break a finger. She offers him food before heading off. Later, Levon visits his daughter, Mary, at her grandparents' home. As soon as he arrives, Mary spots him and eagerly runs to his car. Levon takes a moment to talk with his father-in-law, who currently has custody of Mary. He lost custody after his wife's tragic suicide, and since he now lives in his truck, the court ruled he couldn't provide a stable environment. As a result, he's only allowed 2 hours of visitation each week. Father and daughter then go out to eat, where Levon gives Mary a heartfelt gift, a photo of her and her late mother. Seeing it, Mary shares her anger and pain, still grappling with her mother's loss. Later, Levon meets with his lawyer about the custody battle. The lawyer says the situation is deteriorating and asks why his father-in-law resents him. Levon explains that the man blames him for his daughter's death. In truth, she had struggled with depression while Levon was serving in the military. Still, he's determined to fight for his daughter and hands over the money he saved to continue the legal process. He even rents a small place to show he's serious about providing for Mary. That night, Jenny and her friends are partying at a clubhouse. A bartender recognizes her and tips off a mafia member named Viper. Soon after, one of her friends feels unwell and rushes to the restroom. Left alone, Jenny is suddenly ambushed by a group of kidnappers and taken away. The next day, Levon sees police leaving Joe's office. Joe and his wife frantically approach him, explaining that Jenny is missing. They beg for his help, but he refuses, saying he's left that life behind. Even when Joe offers $50,000, Levon declines, though he ultimately takes the money and visits an old friend. That evening, he goes to see Gunny, a blind war buddy, whom Levon once saved in an accident. Levon tells Gunny about the kidnapping and says he's going to help. Gunny explains how important Jenny is to the family and urges him to act. Motivated, Levon returns to Joe and promises to find Jenny. That night, he starts investigating the bar where she was last seen. In a nearby alley, he finds a piece of Jenny's necklace, confirming it's where she was taken. Levon tracks down a bartender who was working that night and confronts him at his home. The man denies any knowledge, but Levon pressures him until he begins to talk. Before he can say much, several associates arrive. Levon quickly eliminates them all and finds money on them, confirming mafia involvement. He keeps the cash to bribe more gang members for leads. The following day, Wolo and other gang members arrive at the crime scene, finding the aftermath of Levon's attack. Alarmed, they clean up and leave, unaware that Levon is tailing them. He follows them to a safe house, sneaks in, and captures Wolo. When Wolo wakes up, he warns Levon he's made a huge mistake. Unfazed, Levon throws the cash on the table and demands answers. Wolo refuses to cooperate, so Levon drowns him while strapped to a chair. Through further investigation, Levon learns that Wolo's son, Dimi, orchestrated the kidnapping. Meanwhile, Yuri, another mafia boss, discovers Wolo's death and realizes Dimi might be next. Levon contacts a police friend for intel on Dimi. The officer warns him Dimi is extremely dangerous and gives Levon the address of a shady bar linked to the mafia. That night, Levon visits the bar. A security guard spots him, and Dougie, a gang member, brings him to Dutch. The patrons suspect Levon is a cop and attack him. He quickly takes them down. Just as he's about to kill one of them, Dutch steps in and, realizing Levon's military background, decides to negotiate. Levon pretends to want drugs, and Dutch agrees to arrange a meeting. The next day, Dutch delivers the drugs and sets up a meeting with the gang's top dealer. Levon meets Dimmy, who tests him to ensure he's legitimate. Once convinced, Dimmy hands over the goods. Levon disposes of the drugs, and while observing the bar, spots Viper, one of Jenny's kidnappers. He follows the gang, but is eventually caught after a chase. While being transported, Levon kills his captors, dumps the van in a lake, and escapes. Yuri, furious over the deaths, confronts Dimmy, warning him that Levon is behind the chaos. At the same time, Dimmy suspects something went wrong with the drug deal. Later, while picking Mary up from school, Levon senses danger. He rushes to his father-in-law's house, finding it ablaze. He runs in and rescues the man. Fearing Mary may be next, he brings her to Gunny's home for protection. Leaving her in safe hands, Levon gears up for the fight ahead. Meanwhile, Jenny is being transported by Viper and Artemis to another location. She escapes briefly and tries to flag down a police car, only to realize the officer works for the gang. She is returned to her captors, who receive a call from a wealthy client interested in Jenny. They accept. Levon tracks down Dimmy at his hideout and demands Jenny's location. Dimmy bargains for his life and reveals everything, including Viper's involvement. Levon kills him and moves on. Dutch finds out Levon is responsible for the operation's collapse and warns the others. Levon storms the safe house, eliminates everyone, including Dutch, and finds Jenny. During the chaos, Jenny kills Artemis. Levon frees her, and as they try to flee, two gang members ambush them. Levon uses a grenade to eliminate the threat, and they escape. Levon reunites Jenny with her parents. In the final scene, he shares a peaceful lunch with Mary and Gunny's family, finally finding a moment of calm after the storm. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Recap Flow for more thrilling movie breakdowns. See you in the next one.